to him. Hey, would you mind if I have somebody else join me for my panel to be a panelist as well? Are you guys familiar with that game Gearbox made called Borderlands? Are you familiar with a character called Claptrap? Ladies and gentlemen, David Eddings is here.
Should we sit next to each other or should I sit at a different table?
Do you feel safe here?
I feel more comfortable right here. How y'all doing? Right on. Hey, y'all want to hear some Claptrap real quick while he's getting ready? I don't know if I can do it or not. My voice is shot. Let's see. Hello, travelers! New missions are available with the 5-stone bounty boards. Too much feedback? I can't hear.
You can't hear?
No.
Can you hear me now? All right, good.
A bit better.
So, is everybody having a good time so far at SGC? It's good times. They really know how to put on, because I gotta tell you, I've been having nothing but fun since I got here. You know there's a roast tomorrow night, are you aware of that? So, Eddings here, David Eddings here is going to be one of the people roasting me. And it should be bloody, brutal, vicious, mean-spirited, nasty, underhanded.
We love you.
I know, right? And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so glad that you came up here to join me for this because I have something to show you.
I kind of had to. You called me out and you asked everybody if it was okay.
Yeah, you didn't really have much choice.
Honestly, I'm glad to be here. Can we get some water up here, though? Like, yeah, that'd be great.
Get some water up in this bitch.
So I don't know if you guys know or not, but Gearbox is actually located here in the area. We're in Plano right now, but we're moving to Frisco. You know, I worked on that game in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, and then it wasn't until I went to Gearbox and we finally actually got kicked it out the door.
Were you excited about it?
I actually was very excited about it.
Were you disappointed by it?
I was disappointed that it took so long to get published. You know.
Did anybody here buy Duke Nukem Forever? Thank you. Okay, thumbs up or thumbs down? How'd it go? Let's see. Don't suck up to me. Thumbs down.
It's fair. It's fair.
Oh, there's a lot of, we're not sure.
Now let me ask you this question. If it had come out in the year 2001 for $50, would it have been a thumbs up? Yeah, see?
Oh, you're pissed because they fucked around so long and didn't release it.
It was a game out of its time by the time, in 2012 when it came out, 2011, whatever, it was already past its prime.
It was indeed, and that's a shame. But that's okay, because I have a feeling there are future Duke Nukem games on the horizon.
Absolutely.
Now, you're fans of Borderlands, you know who Claptrap is, obviously you know who Duke Nukem is. Have you guys ever seen Duke Nukem and Claptrap interact together? I don't mean me and David, I mean the characters. Have you ever heard of that happening? It has happened. Let's see how the audio is good. Those are music movies. Those are movies I yell at. Those are music videos. Oh,
wow! Hey, look! Is this 18 plus or do we have children here?
Anybody under 18, put your hand up.
Good. Close your eyes.
Okay, we're going to try to keep it clean.
No F-bombs. We'll try to avoid that.
Take the kids out.
So, fuck it. Questionable?
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of things on here that might look confusing to you. Before I play the clip I was going to play, let me explain to you that you all know that I'm the badass voice of Duke Nukem, right? I'm the badass voice of Heskel in the new Bombshell game that's coming out soon. But at the same time, maybe you didn't know I'm the voice of Disney Fairies. It's a stretch. Imagine the recipe for adventure. What Pinch of Pixie does. A bunch of best buddies.
Trust and Pixie Dust.
One large story all together, man. It's the ride of a lifetime. Catch the all-new Tinkerbell and Legend of the Memories. Plus all the timeless Tinkerbell tales. Now available on demand. Now I know what it like is the voice of Disney on demand. Now available. Dukem and Claptrap actually interacting goes something like this. Yeah, it's a few years old, but you haven't seen it. So it's new to you.
Case of emergency. 911 calls him. His ear once bit Mike Tyson. A can of romance. He jumps out. He once killed 2 stones. Through himself. He is.
What? Did you miss me?
Are you kidding me? Are you stealing from beer commercials now? That's not Bruce Campbell, was it? You just had to go there. Listen, now that you're at Gearbox Software, we gotta get you out there, man. That's why the suits hired me to do your PR, right? Right! And dude, babe, can't just be gone for over a dozen years and then think you can come back after all this time and just give us a high.
You wanna bet? Hail to the king, baby.
There it is again. Dude, look at all the people out there. These people are all at the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. They're not here to see you, dude. They're here to see 2 more. And they decide which video games each year are the best. We're all dressed up tonight because it's the 2011 Interactive Achievement Awards show. An award that you are going to want next year.
I've got plenty of awards.
9,000 people wear the Year Awards do not count. What I'm trying to tell you is, you've got to play ball. You got to look at what this year's nominees did and be more like them. Take Game of the Year nominee Red Dead Redemption. You played it, right? Right. What's last? Family and personal sacrifice. It's subtle and surprisingly emotional. Do you have anything like that in your game?
You mean like this?
Moving on. Next is God of War 3, a game that features giant monsters inspired by Greek mythology and beautiful women with bosoms the size of your ego. You got anything like that, dude?
Yeah, well, check this.
Let's do it.
Flying monsters and boobs, dude. Who does that? Anyway, next is Halo Reach. Don't make a reach around joke. Okay? Fine. Roll the footage.
Dude, got your green power armor over here, ready to go.
Power armor is for pussies.
You want a gun instead?
You just don't get it. This is serious business. You can't insult the greatest science fiction video game series of all time and get away with this. Where did you get away with this?
Now that deserves an award.
And it does.
Unfortunately, that year neither one of us got any awards.
That's true.
I think Mark Hamill beat me out for the character. Either that or Jack Black, one or the other. Who's ever heard of those guys? Nobody.
Well, the great thing about the voice acting career is there are so many different projects we do. For the most part, video games make up maybe between 5 and 10% of the work I do. The body of work I do is mostly commercials and infomercials, the stuff that, you know, I get regular income from. Video game auditions are few and far between, as are the games for me. I know there are a lot of guys, Scott Bloom maybe.
What's an audition like? I wouldn't know.
It's me in my studio in my bathrobe reading the script the way I put my spin on it and then emailing it back. That's pretty much the audition process. Really simple.
I've never auditioned for a role, ever. I'm an
You also
executive.
never got paid for a voice
I have
acting.
yet to get paid for a voice acting gig. Yeah, I'm actually, I work at Gearbox. I'm an executive there. So when I see a role that I think I'd be great for, I just give it to myself.
But part of Claptrap was perfect for David because his nickname in college was Claptrap.
That's right. Oh, just wait for tomorrow night when we roast John, all right? Get your licks in now, buddy.
Don't forget, I get to come back and respond to all of them.
Yes, you do. But don't use all your jokes up tonight, though. Save some for tomorrow.
All right. So I do have this game coming out pretty soon, and the guy who owns 3D Realms now, that company, was not happy when I posted on Facebook recently. Here's the game that started out as Duke Nukem Mass Destruction. He was not happy that I posted that and asked me to remove the post immediately. But I'm telling you right now, anybody videotape it? Oh, fuck it. I recorded lines for Duke Nukem Mass Destruction a year and a half ago for them. Then they asked me to destroy those files. They destroyed theirs. They don't have the IPO. They don't want to get into a pissing match with Gearbox again because you guys have a lot more money.
Well, it's not about the money. We actually bought the Duke Nukem franchise.
He owns me.
You know what? Keep saying that, buddy. Keep saying that. The reality is that when we bought Duke Nukem after 3D Realms shut their doors, it's because a lot of us had worked on Duke Nukem over the years, and we wanted to see it released. And so I understand that not everybody, I saw a few thumbs down over there, not everybody appreciated it for what it was, but really that game should have come out 10 years prior.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been better received back then.
Everyone would have been happy. Everybody expected something Call of Duty-like.
Yeah.
I just said that because I like to say Duty.
You know what's great about Duty Nukem? You can actually pick up the duty and you can throw the duty.
You guys did that, right? Throwing shit around, right?
Like a monkey or whatever.
Exactly.
But what I want you guys know is that we bought Duke Nukem not only to kick that thing out the door that had taken 14 years, but also to make more Duke Nukem games. And just recently, Randy was in Brighton. He mentioned that to the audience. We didn't buy it just to sit on it. We're going to make some more Duke Nukem games, and they're going to be what they should be, right? And we're not going to take 14 years to develop it.
He's the president of Gearbox. He's David's boss. He loves Duke Nukem, and he wants the character to live and to be the franchise that goes on and on and on and helps Gearbox become even stronger and bigger.
Two of our three owners at Gearbox were at 3D Realms working on Duke Nukem 3D and Duke Nukem Forever when they split off. And in the time that it took Duke Nukem Forever or 3D Realms to shut down and us to buy it and kick it out the door, Gearbox had already made like 10 games at that point, right? So the real game developers ship. That's what they do. We ship games, you know. So go ahead. Wouldn't that be awesome? It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry, man. That would be great. That would be great.
But in the meantime, you can still buy games that I do. I was leading into Bombshell, which is what Duke Nukem Mass Destruction became. And you think, well, there's no Duke Nukem anymore. The hero of the game is a woman named Bombshell. But I'm still in the game anyway because
You look good with a set of tits, you know that?
But they made me the bad guy, so I'm Heskel, and I'm also the voice on the trailer here for Bombshell. I hope you like this. The voice I did for Heskel, 3D Realms Interceptor, who were they when I did it? I don't know. They wanted something that would stand out that people would recognize, but it couldn't be Duke Nukem. So my spin on the Heskel voice is Mark Hamill doing the joke.
So, Shelly, it's
what it is. Oh.
No, don't start over! There's no music! Where's the bloody music? Silly conscience!
I'm looking forward to playing this myself.
I'm just glad to hear you say that, because here I am plugging a game for another company, and you're being
Are you kidding?
Cool.
I'm a gamer. I love to play games. It's the reason I'm in the business, right? If I only played games that I worked on, then there would be about 30 games, most of them not very good, but I wouldn't have a very wide selection to play from, right? You know,
True.
I love video games. Some of my favorite video games right now are things that we're not making. You know, I mean, who's playing? I love Titanfall. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
There's Call of Duty, playing some Diablo. There's a lot of games out there. Anyway, and I'm gonna play Bombshell the moment it comes out. I get a free copy, right?
You rock. Of course, I'll send you a copy.
Thank you.
Do you want me to autograph it?
No.
I think so. So this panel can go one of many ways. It can be talk about video games. It can be talk about voice acting. It can be Q&A. What do you guys want it to be about? How about voice acting, Q&A, a little bit of video game shit?
How about auction off John for a date? Yeah, almost everybody clapped for that one, by the way. Okay, a little bit of shit. For $500, you get 3 dates with John.
So in the world of voice acting, there's something called the snowball effect. When you do a voiceover for a project that becomes popular, and the product starts selling more, then that voice becomes recognizable enough that you get other jobs just based on that voice. For instance, anybody drink Lipton Brisk tea?
Yeah!
Okay, well, I'm the guy who goes, "That's brisk, baby! Not half bad!" Maybe you've seen the commercials that go like this.
I actually like this.
New brisk half and half.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Also available in tropical lemonade. Not half bad. Okay, so obviously that commercial's funny because they were mellow. I'm screaming, not half bad! Right? So this commercial gets heard, and Polk Audio Systems calls me, and they go, "We love that brisk thing you did. Can you do that voice for us?" I'm like, "Okay," so I did this commercial for them. Polk Audio presents Lisa Fest 2014. All of Lisa's favorite music inside Lisa's favorite venue. Her home. 5 speakers. 5 completely different, although similarly decorated in a mid-century modern style. Places where Lisa can listen to any music genre she's into. Stage 1, progressive rock. Stage 2, hardcore hip-hop. Stage 3, some more hardcore hip-hop. Stage 4, Norwegian death metal. Stage 5, all show tunes all the time. Really?
Don't judge.
It's Lisa Fest 2014, brought to you by Holt's Wireless Music System, and featuring performances by DJ Tablet, the controller, and Mobile Key. Lisa Fest 2014, wireless music system available at HoltAudio.com and your nearest Best Buy store. Holt, love it loud. So that's called the snowball effect, where you do one commercial for a client and it becomes popular enough, you get hired to do another one. I've had a few of those, including some that come from doing impressions of other voice actors. You know how there's a persona or a niche to some voices, like Gilbert Gottfried, for instance. You know who he is. He was Yago and Aladdin and Aflac. He has a terrible, terrible voice. But when you hear
how he
him
sounds when you actually meet him and talk to him.
Yeah, I know, it's an act.
Yeah, it's
It's an act, but it's a great act. And then you have like Sam Elliott. He's the quintessential cowboy, right? He was in Ghost Rider, The Legend of Sand and Guns. Remember that? So he talks like that and he goes, Coors Light, the banquet beer. And, Guts, glory, well. Because he sounds like a cowboy. They wanted that cowboy voice. So I do an impression of him, which you just heard, and that landed me work too. I think the first thing I got was, let's see, was this one. A theme park in Branson, Missouri called Silver Dollar City. Have you ridden the twisting wooden rollers? Fucking A, check this out.
There was a time when the whole world was steam up north, was the well ride. That time is now. Silver Dollar City presents Outlaw Run, the first little toaster in the world, pressed upside down 3 times. The only one of its kind with a drop this steep and speed will leave the bad guys in the dust. The new Outlaw Run, only in Silver Dollar City. Let's ride. You go first.
So doing impressions of other voice actors can sometimes land you gigs too, even if it's not spot on. As long as it's similar, then you can get hired doing work like that. One of the weirdest things that I've received recently, a video from a fan of mine, was anybody play Guild Wars 2? Yeah. Admiral Kunkka and Axe and okay. As it turns out, Axe is a very popular character. Was that Dota 2? Guild Wars 2, Dota 2. It doesn't matter. I don't know what game from it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So, do y'all know who Axe is? That big red guy? Well, I've never rapped a day in my life, but fans took a bunch of lines in video and turned on this thing called Axe's Special Delivery. It's weird, and it's me. Okay, you get the point.
Totally raps like a white guy.
Right. The only line I remember ever recording that they used in that was, Axe gonna give it to you. I don't know where they came up with the rest of this shit. But I was pretty amazed that they were able to do what they did. How about Dude Bro? Anybody heard of Dude Bro? It has still not been released. This started as a joke. 5 guys in Virginia Beach, Virginia, who decided they were going to make this game about a redneck badass hero, kind of like Duke Nukem, but this guy's from Mississippi. And his name is Jon Dukebro. It seems like every character I play is called John. Jon Dukebro, and the game's official title is Dukebro 2, My Shit is Fucked Up, so I have to shoot / slice you too. It's straight up dog time. And here's the trailer for Dukebro. I hope you like this one.
Damn, this game needs a little boost. It's straight up dog time.
Choice
Duke Nukem Forever reference.
Now your shit is broken.
I don't get that line. I don't know what it meant. But that is Duke Bro. We're going to do some Q&A in a second, but I want to show you something that I was very proud of that never took off. I was kind of disappointed. You know, a lot of times we'll spend a lot of money filming a commercial, hiring the right voiceover, putting it together. And they test it with the focus group, and it doesn't fly, so it doesn't get on the air. Well, a commercial that I did for Old Spice a few years back, I was very hopeful that it was going to play during the Super Bowl, which was the plan initially. It never happened. God, I could have been heard by so many millions of people all at once. But I thought the commercial was fabulous. Let's see what you think of this one.
What happens when you use the amazing scents of Old Spice deodorant? You smell awesome for 48 hours. Which makes you awesome for 48 hours. Introducing Old Spice deodorant. Smell amazing for 48 hours.
Do you like it? Where are the Chinese focus groups who get to decide? Exactly. Okay, a little Q&A time. David Eddings has agreed to stay up here and answer questions. If you have questions about the industry, or about Gearbox Software, or about Claptrap, or about Borderlands, you can ask those too. No skin off my nose. Who's got a question? Put your hand in the air. Oh, back there, sir. Go ahead and stand up and be real loud, or come up to the microphone. Is that guy's microphone? Okay. Yeah, if y'all want to line up, that would be great if you don't mind. And then just take your turns asking those questions. What's your name? First of all, when he says his name, I expect a respectful response from the crowd saying, like, my name is Bill. Everybody goes, hi, Bill. Okay, is that cool? Can we do that? Hello, and what's your name?
My name's Patrick. I wonder if you've ever met the guy who played Wesker. The voice of Wesker for Resident Evil 4.
DC Douglas.
That's DC Douglas. I was just partying with him last weekend. You met DC.
Oh, you worked with him at Youmacon.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He's a fun guy and a skirt chaser. What do
He
you
goes to me.
I wonder, do you think I can do a good Wesker impression? So sorry.
I don't know that term. It sounds like you.
I don't remember what he sounds like.
Do you do an impression?
Global saturation. See if you can do that.
Oh no, that was perfect! Everybody give him a hand.
And your name is?
Hi, I'm Chase. So I was wondering, how stupid did you feel playing Big the Cat?
Very. There was not even an audition process for that. I mean, there was, but it was ridiculous. So Lonnie Manella, who's a top casting director, she got me the Duke Nukem job back in my first job doing voice acting for video games back in 1994. She came to me around, gosh, when did Sonic Adventures come out? Anyone know what year? 99? Around 98, 99. I was in the process of doing a bunch of different games. And she goes, oh, we want you to be on the new Sonic the Hedgehog game. I went, but my ranges are that high. She said, you don't need, we just need somebody to play this big stupid cat. I said, what's it look like? They showed me the artwork and I went, that looks ridiculous. And she said, we just need a stupid voice for it. I said, what do you mean a stupid voice? She said, just do a stupid voice. I have a stupid voice like that. And they went, perfect. I went, no! And the casting people from Sega were on the line, so I'd already done it. It was, at that point, it felt very stupid.
You don't look so good, little buddy.
There's nothing on Big Cat. I passed the torch to Kyle Hebert a few years back. Let's hear it for Kyle Hebert. I love that man.
We've been friends for 28, 29 years.
Isn't that funny? And yet Eddings has never helped Kyle get a job on any of those Gearbox games.
Not at all.
Or me.
Why would I do that?
It felt very stupid to do a Big Cat, but I passed the torch to Kyle Hebert, and then Sega, you're gonna love this, killed him off! Remember Big Cat?
Sega got me that killed off too.
Yeah, make another ET game. What is your name?
I'm
Joshua.
What's your question?
what do you recommend
The very best advice I can give, and I just stopped teaching classes after 5 years. I taught Introduction to Voice Acting. The best free advice I can give anybody is, remember, it's mostly commercials and narrations. That's how you pay your bills. Video games is the best part. That's the acting part. But that's going to be very few games. So start listening to the commercials on TV at night instead of going to the kitchen and getting more, nachos or something. Actually listen to those on the radio, not the locally produced by your local radio station bullshit commercials that sounds like the same voice on every one and they can't read for shit. I'm talking about the nationals like McDonald's, Geico, Progressive Insurance. Those are the top advertisers in the world. When you hear their commercials, the end result of what you're hearing on the air is perfect. And what I mean is, the script is carefully written, approved by the client, then edited again for perfection, then edited again for time, then they hire the right voice actor, and then for a 15 or 30-second spot, that voice actor's in the studio for 90 minutes to 2 hours being nitpicked on every fucking line he reads. The read is perfect. Then they mix in the music and the sound effects and it goes to air. So the end result of what's on the air is perfect. Can you imitate those voices? And it's not these voices. You don't hear this on Geico. As a matter of fact, the guy who does the Geico ad goes, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Because that guy recorded that one fucking line 12 years ago and he's made $1 million on it. Right? That would be a dream job. But the point is, record yourself. And when you start sounding just like the commercials you've heard on the radio or TV, you're getting close, put a demo together and start marketing your talents.
Or you can do it like I did it. And yeah, just give yourself a role when you have a big game to make, you know.
Or you can give me a role.
All right, let me think about that.
Do you have your wallet on you? He'll give you a roll. Put him down. We're rolling. We're rolling. Thank you for your question. Did I answer it to your liking? All right. Okay, who's going to come up here and give us money?
I'm Phil. Now, John, you've done some of the most distinctive voices in video game history. How often are you using like your Big the Cat voice or your Dick Kickham, sorry, Duke Nukem?
Dick Pick'em. That's what I'm going to call you. Dick Pick'em. Dick Pick'em.
So listen, okay? Because here's the deal. How often do you hear those voices? Okay.
No, but I mean, like, how often do you use like
the Big the Cat voice?
Like a character voice, like outside of just?
Only like in a drive-up restaurant where I'll do the Duke voice, like, give me a burger. Or every once in a while, my son will toss me his phone and go, Dad, Duke this guy. Who is it? Is this guy Phil? Phil, you've got a tiny dick and you suck.
Use a soundboard.
Right. I'm a walking soundboard. But since you did ask about that, I thought you meant like had to use the same voice in different games. I have. I thought for years after doing Twisted Metal 4 that I was just the narrator, Sweet Tooth spokesperson. Anybody know that game?
Yeah! Simmy talks like the Crypt Keeper. Greetings, boys and ghoulies.
Kind of sounds like that other voice again. Okay, those are good at the same. Anyway, so I'm doing this this recording, and I just assumed for all these years that was the voice I did in Twisted Metal 4. Turns out I'm the entire frickin' cast except Lonnie Manella does the female voices, right? So I'm thinking, wait a minute. When I go onto YouTube and I start seeing all these clips, oh my God, that's right. I'm Rob Zombie. I'm General Warthog. I'm Trash Man. I'm Ralph Jones. I didn't know I played all those characters. It must be my short-term memory problem. Did I mention that I have short-term memory trouble? I can't
you also, I think there was a problem with your memory.
Short-term memory problem. So that's how I, but I start watching these clips and I said, oh, Trash Man, I wonder what voice I did for that. Let's see if you...
Sounds awesome.
Okay, it's apparently some Tomano for some reason.
This is the stuff that nightmares are doing.
I could do one, couldn't I? All right, Let's try this. Oh, sorry.
Trash man, you've just defeated your rivals in our arenas. You're now entitled to one wish. Anything you desire. What shall it be?
We have to have faith for my friends. We wish for faith of trash. Whole world is garbage.
It's fucking big So, thank you for your question. Yes, sometimes I've had the same voice in different games, unintentionally, but when they said trash man is really stupid, first thing I do is go like this. So all my stupid voices sound like me being stupid. Just let me know that too. Thank you for your question. And who's next?
Hi, I'm Jake.
Hey,
So, when you're voice acting, I know a lot of people have like a process. Like, for example, you mentioned Mark Hamill. If you ever watch footage of him doing the Joker, he gets really into it.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar process to that for your voice acting?
Not exactly, but I do tend to flail and move my hands around a lot. And when you do that in the studio, of course, it helps you to express your emotions and all, but don't wear jewelry, don't wear corduroy, for God's sake. Don't hit the equipment. Try not to make sounds. Only in Kung Fu, I guess that would happen.
I do the same thing with Claptrap. Like, the difference, I do another voice in Borderlands, TK Baja, who is the blind, one-legged mission giver, if you know who he is. Minor character. He's like, you should see the look on your face. That's his voice. Yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little bit of family, but my physical demeanor when I do TK Baja versus Claptrap. Claptrap is just really kind of, he's throwing his arms out, you know, he's kind of flailing everywhere. And in fact, some of the lines I would actually walk away from the microphone at times. And that's actually part of the line, whatever. But you kind of embody the character, I think, a little bit. It helps.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the acting, even though you don't actually get to see the voice actor actually acting. But it does, I think,
the movements often mimic what we've done in the studio, whether we're doing mocap or not. They usually do. And then there's vocal techniques that you can do for some jobs too. For instance, before I do a Duke Nukem game or a movie trailer or something like that the night before, I always go out and sing karaoke. Because when I get up in the morning, my voice is way down here like this. You get that gravelly sound, and a lot of clients like that. Or if you want your voice to stay smooth and silky, then you drink a lot of water, you hydrate well. And to keep mouth noises to a minimum, you always take a bite of a green apple before you go into a studio recording.
Smart.
One bite of a green apple will keep the moisture consistency of your mouth just right, so you don't get that
Yes.
mouth noise shit, which is disgusting. The only issue I have is some character voices,
When you're talking like this, why do those Sony and Sennheiser microphones so much rust?
It's because you're spitting all over it.
Say it, don't spray it.
That's just a joke. But thank you for your question. Thank you. You betcha. That's a good question. Now the pressure's on. What's your name?
So, I have a question about this mod. It's probably a small-time mod. It's probably yet to be finished. Have you, I imagine you might have noticed, have you done voiceovers for Jake and Bacon episode 3?
Never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
Never.
You stumped the person giving the question now. So.
Well, thank you for your question.
So somebody sounds like a little bit.
Well, all I know is that he might have done some sort of nonchalant, non-dick voice.
There's a lot of imitators out there. There's only one Jon St John.
Imitators and haters, but no, I don't know that type at all. Anybody ever see a TV show called NFL Rush Zone?
I heard of it, yeah.
Did you know I'm the announcer at the beginning of that show?
Yeah.
See, only cool TV animated thing. But yeah, I'm the guy. 32 teams. Blah blah blah. You know. Okay. So did you have a follow-up question, sir?
No,
you're not sure. Okay, thank you.
I have to think about it.
There's a long line behind you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's okay, man. It's all right.
You can ask me anything you want right after the and I'll talk. And do you drink by any chance? How old are you?
20.
Oh, so close. So close. He can have the shot of Patron I was going to pour for you. And who's next?
I'm Chase.
Hey, Chase!
Me next. so I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay. You're not going to skin me or anything, right?
Oh, thanks for preferencing, but I say you have 2 questions.
Yeah, so basically, I was wondering, because I saw it there, Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Uh-huh.
Who did you voice in that?
I'm the drill instructor. Would you like to see a clip real quick?
Yeah, does anybody ever say no when you ask that question?
Chicks, man. Alright. Let's see, Counter-Strike, where is that one? Where the hell is it? You want to see it?
The commander still throws a meat barbecue.
Why can't I see it? Counter-Strike. There we go.
What?
Bullets spread and weapon kick during firing. We did hit the giant wood target. You just saved democracy. God, no. We all had to complete these tests. Nice job, though. Put your weapon back on the table when you're done. Now we need to do some target identification. We have good guys and we have bad guys. We need you to shoot the bad guys. And just to prove you were paying attention, pick up the weapon and shoot 5 bad guys for me.
Doesn't really matter. I'm the instructor telling you now. Pick up the gun and shoot 5 bad guys for me. Okay, you've proven you can take out cardboard targets. Now let's go out in the real world. Shoot some motherfucker, make him dead. It works to that effect. And your follow-up question would be.
Okay, so basically, do you do any warm-ups when you know, like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, always. Always warm up before you go into the studio. Usually singing is the best way, but you never want to start with anything vocally stressful. You start real easy, and you drink a lot of water when you record. Just whatever's on my iPod in the car. I'm singing on the way to the studio. You know, there's a
lot of ABBA.
You don't want me to sing. You don't want me to sing.
Andy's one of his favorite songs.
You want me to sing?
Islands in the Stream, I'll do Dolly Parton, and you can do...
Oh no, I wrote a song called Balls of Steel. So let's see if we get a good mix on my voice to this. You ready? Here we go. I do them in the video games. That voice I do is brought me fortune and fame. But now some fanboys ask me this all the time. Would you mind just saying, hey now gamers, here's the spiel. For the 500th time now, I've got the voice of steel. This game was pretty cool. That's not drinking and that's like food. But then I found out that the food is a phony with an unnatural love for my little ponies. I said, hey now pony, are you for real? You gotta stand up and man up and throw you some balls of steel. Then I met this Knox player all dressed in pink. She smiled at me and she gave me a wink. She wanted to hold me and hug me, I think, but it was day 3 and damn did she stink. I said, hey, Knox player, here's the deal. Until you Febreze, won't you please keep away from my balls of steel. They are the finest balls that you've ever seen. I'm reaching down to take them out of my case so I can wave my balls in front of your face. I said, hey now gamers, hey cosplayers, hey now bronies, these ain't no phonies. They're real deal. I got balls of steel. Thank you. Maybe I should record it, put it in iTunes or something. Yeah! You guys like that stuff? Yeah! Wow, that's pretty awesome. So, okay, so I've done my song. What's next? What's your question? Are you
I have a song actually on the fly. And,
do you?
Yeah, it's on. Bird came down and popped my bubble, and a bubble came out of my bird. Bubbles and birds, bubbles and birds, bubbles and birds. And it would just trail off. And that's, it's become something, it's like earned me $3.47 on iTunes already. So, I'm getting rich. I'm getting grilled and everything.
$3.50 at a time.
That's enough.
You're badass. Okay, your name, sir. Oh, yeah, you're done. You can sit down. On the microphone. Oh, the mic is off. Is there a switch on the microphone? Is there a switch on the microphone?
What's your name, man?
Did somebody switch the microphone? Hi, Bobby! There you go, back to the microphone, Bobby, or I won't be able to hear you because I'm deaf. There it is.
Thank you. How did you get into the voice acting industry? Like, what made you want to get into it?
Oh, well, I was a radio broadcaster for many, many, many years, and I worked in markets all over the country, and I was, most of the time I was either a production director or the afternoon drive DJ, but most of my career I was the wacky morning voice guy, like C100 Morning Sue. Now let's welcome in President Reagan's on the phone. Well, why did Dick mention would she deep throat 5 times? So he could get it down pat. So,
that's how morning radio used to be, by the way. People don't realize that's how morning radio used to sound.
Exactly. So I was the guy doing all the character voices and stuff, and one day Lonnie Manella, I mention her all the time at these cons, she's one of the top casting directors in the industry. She lives in San Diego where I live, so it was just fortuitous that one day she came into my studio to do an auto commercial for Mossy Nissan or something. And she started doing these wacky voices, so I started showing off as well my voices. She went, wow, you've got great range. Would you like to voice act in video games? This was 1994. I'm like, what? There's no voices in video games. Well, there's gonna be. And that's basically how it started for me right there with that meeting, with the chance meeting with Lonnie Manella. And I got the Duke Nukem game, and my second game was Candyland. Yeah! So if you ever see Hasbro's Candyland CD-ROM game, I'm all the male cast in that. Thanks for your question.
Nobody here knows what a CD-ROM is, John.
Oh, that's right. It's like a CD.
What's a CD-ROM? It's like a tape cassette, except it's flat.
Alright, so as we know, there's been a...
Wait. Oh, hi, what's your name?
I'm the Great One.
Hi,
My question is, after so many years between the two new games, how in the loop were you? Like, were you ever worried they might recast you?
Yes, I was. And in fact, whenever Gearbox gets around to making another Duke Nukem game, I'm still afraid of that. And when will I know about the new Duke Nukem game? Probably 2 to 3 months before it's released.
I'm not saying shit to this guy.
And you know why? You know why voice actors, we're always the last thing done. Why? We got big frickin' mouths. And why did they invent non-disclosure agreements?
For you, John, for you.
Yeah.
If you need a new Duke Nukem, I'm up there.
All right, let's hear you say your face, your ass. What's the difference?
Your face, your ass. What's the difference?
Let's work on that a little bit. It's not bad. You gotta work on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But see me later. I'll give you my card, and if you work at half the rate that he does, then you're totally in.
You heard it from Claptrap. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Your voice actings that I know of are all very good, but there's lots of voice actings out there that are not good.
Oh, dude, not all of mine is good. Oh, do we get video? Is it happening? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I know sometimes
you have a voice actor in mind that you hate or don't like.
Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Benny, the guy that shot you in the face. The guy that plays him, the terrible voice acting of that character, is Chandler from Friends.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Nobody knows that because he did such an awful job at it.
What's his name? Matt something or Matt whatever.
Something along those lines.
Chandler Bing.
I guess the baseline question I'm asking here is like, have you ever just done something and just looked at it and go, whoa?
Yes, and not been proud of it in the least.
Yeah.
Anybody heard of a PlayStation game called Evil Zone? Yes. Dan Zavir, the character, that's me. It's the worst ever, and it's, honest to God, it wasn't my acting. I was told how to do the lines. And they suck. I can play the audio for you.
Nobody wants to hear your bad voices.
No, I'm so ashamed of this, I'd love to share it. So let's see if we can make this happen.
Are you sure? Use the second
Objective
chance.
understood.
Okay, sorry.
Why are you here? You called me up for your own convenience, but didn't you come to stop me?
I'm not going to give you any excuses. After all, I don't think it's right to make people of different worlds fight against Ihaduk. Therefore,
Do you dare to stop us? Then stop us! Something who destroys evil! The ultimate hero!
Alright, I'm not gonna play the
By the way, it's still not as bad as Peter Dinklage in Destiny. So. There are some great robot sidekicks out there. Wheatley and Portal, amazing, right, Steve Richard? I might be a little robot sidekick, nobody likes Claptrap, but Peter Dinklage, come on, Peter. He's a good actor, right? Everybody loves it. That was a terrible performance. Wouldn't everybody agree? Or does anybody love that one? Who loves that one? A little bit? A little. Got it. I get the joke. That's very funny.
I can't understand anybody not ever being able to play a good robot voice. I've played robots in, God, 10, 12 games. But of course, it's always the same thing. There's no inflection whatsoever. It's monotone. You speak like this with absolutely no emotion. That is not acting. That's just speaking. I'm not acting. I'm just reading. Like Sonic Adventures, the E123 Omega robot. Did you know that's I do that voice? So I just talk like this in that game, and you'd never know me from any other actor doing that. So that's how that goes. Okay, so I understand there's only 10 minutes left for this panel. Oh no! Q&A's. As opposed to the TNAs. Let's get to the next cue. What's your name, sir?
Chris Wilson. My brother actually works for Gearbox, and you did a little Duke Nukem shout out for him. I don't know if David is familiar with him.
Yeah, I know your brother.
What's his name? So I know you know his mother, but do you know his brother?
When you stepped up here, I was like, dude, you look really familiar.
Yeah, people say that.
Are you guys twins?
Well, what?
Is it Nick, right? Nick Nicholson?
Yeah, Nick Wilson. You did like Duke Wilson.
Are you recording anything?
What?
Start your recorder, baby.
Start my recorder.
Yeah, you want me to say something about Nick Wilson?
No, I just want to say thank you to you for shouting, like giving him a shout out. That's
always going to. You don't want to record it then?
No.
Or you want me to record something over? You want to?
No, I had a question for you.
He doesn't want you to record shit, man.
My question is completely unrelated. It's you had tweeted out in front of like a Marvel vs. Capcom arcade cabinet that you did the voice of Captain America.
I was Captain America the first
And they credited it as Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine. So I just wonder if you could clear the air, like give some context, and actually do the voice for us, maybe.
The arcade game, Marvel vs. Capcom, the first one. Yeah. I'm Captain America. What? All I can imagine is I probably did a voice something that sounded like a superhero.
Yeah, no.
Meanwhile, back at the halls of justice. Yeah,
that's a different comic book company, by the way.
I know. I just like doing that voice. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, look at the spitting image of your brother. Are you older or are you younger than Nick?
I'm younger.
Right on. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
And who's next? What's your name? Tell everybody your name.
Hi, this is Justin Brody.
Justin Brody.
Kind of sounds like me.
Hey, a little bit.
Maybe you're the imposter.
Maybe. What's the question?
I didn't know Slash did impressions.
But anywho, I was wondering, you've been in the business for so long. Which do you find is easier to do? Do you like doing commercials or video games?
Commercials are way easier, and I get to do them all in my underwear in my home studio. Video games, I could actually do in my studio too, via phone patch or ISDN or whatever. But I believe the reason that I'm often called up to LA or flown up to Seattle or whatever to do games is because the developers, the producers who were making these games today, they were teenagers when Duke Nukem 3D came out, now they're fanboys. I can tell you that Valve has flown me up to Seattle to do jobs many times just because they're fans of me. And I don't know if I got the job because of that. I'd like to think it was my talent. But they wanted to meet me rather than just hear me over the line. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet. It doesn't suck. Thanks for your question.
Huge fan, by the way. Thank you.
And what's your name, sir?
My name is Will.
What's your question?
Well, first and foremost, I have never played a Duke Nukem game
That's okay.
Oh my God!
Cat.
Yes!
Well, that's about it on that small subject. My question for you is, what would be your most challenging just moment as a voice actor?
Challenging moment as a voice actor?
Both challenging and rewarding.
Probably getting a job.
The most frustrating, I wouldn't say challenging, frustrating was this game called Blue Stinger. Where, you guys know this one? Oh, it's terrible. I have that video too, but it's not working. Where the director came from Japan, nice little Japanese lady, who said, okay, now you do the narration for the trailer. And I do the narration all the way through, and at the end, and the last is, coming soon from Sega, Blue Stinger. And she goes, no, Blue Stinger. Okay? Coming soon on Sega Dreamcast, Blue Stinger. No. Blue Stinger. Blue Stinger. No. Blue Stinger. Stinger. No. I swear to God, they take 36 of Blue and take 72 of Stinger and put it together. And when the game finally came out and I watched the trailer, it's me going, new from Sega Dreamcast, Blue Stinger. Blue Stinger. No. Bitch. Tell us your name.
My name is Elijah. I've been such a huge fan of the Borderlands series, and even though some people may despise Claptrap, I always find a nice little place for him to sit in a corner and hopefully shut up sometimes. But
you're so sweet.
Really, what was it like just working with Gearbox, and what was the idea behind Borderlands in the first place?
Well, I work at Gearbox every day, so I can tell you what it's like working there for 10 years or so. But in regards to, what was the second part of the question?
Where did the idea for Borderlands even come up?
Well, the idea for Borderlands, I mean, look, we're influenced by a lot of things, and if you watch like The Road Warrior, I know there's a new Mad Max movie that came out, you can see a lot of influence there, but we wanted to make a game that was a cross between Halo, which we worked on the Halo PC, and a game like Diablo, where you're always finding some really cool loot. And so then it's about picking the right environment, and the art style change happened late, but that allowed us to get really silly.
Oh, yeah, kill the story.
Well, I think there's another battle coming up next, but anyway, but thank you very much. Claptrap itself is supposed to be very polarizing, like a kid brother who's 4 years younger than you, and annoying but yet endearing, right? So if you like to slap him around, that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Okay, there's only time for one more question.
This guy really wants a question, so
we'll let him do it, and then we're going to have to wrap. Go ahead. What's your name?
My name's Ben. Hi, Ben! Can you do your voice of Duke Nukem while he's killing the cat?
What's the matter with you, Froggy? You don't look so good. Hey, Froggy, where are you, little buddy?
How about Big the Cat doing Duke Nukem lines?